Murdoch, who, is sanctioned by the Catholic Church, he's leading people to accept the wrong kingdom and the wrong God. He is New Age to the core. Mormonism and the New Age movement, they don't have a problem with each other, because they all say, really, we say the same things. We all believe in the same God. That's what they are. So that's Glenn Beck. Then we have Rick Warren. Now, some might say, well, Rick Warren, I used to like him. He's kind of gotten bad, or he started out good. Did he? Did he? See, Rick Warren and a guy named Leonard Sweet, you need to get this guy. They teamed up a long time ago, okay? Back in the young days. They worked on a thing called the Tides of Change. Writing the next wave, okay? The Aquarian wave. Writing the next wave in ministry. This was, at one time, maybe still is, I don't know, currently on Rick Warren's Ministry Toolbox website are dozens of quotations, endorsements, and current affiliations with Leonard Sweet and others. Leonard Sweet is a guy, he's showing up at all the new emergent church conferences, and he's leading the way. Leonard Sweet wrote a book called Quantum Spirituality. Here are some things that Leonard Sweet said in Quantum Spirituality. He said, mysticism, once cast to the sidelines of the Christian tradition, is now situated in postmodernist culture near the center. In the words of one of the greatest theologians of the 20th century, Jesuit philosopher, stop right here, remember, Rick Warren works for Rupert Murdoch, who is a Knight of Malta, part of the Roman Catholic Church. Leonard Sweet, Jesuit theologian. There is no such thing as a good Jesuit theologian, okay? Anyway, in the words of one of the greatest theologians of the 20th century, Jesuit philosopher of religion, dogmatist Karl Rahner, the Christian of tomorrow will be a mystic. You know what that means? He will believe in the mystery religions. He will be part of ISIS, unveiled. Mystery Babylon the Great, the mother of harlots. And oh, by the way, mysticism has everything to do with, instead of praying to God, you channel God. You intuit God, because God is not up in heaven. He's inside of you. The Christian of tomorrow will be a mystic, one who has experienced something, he will be nothing. Mysticism is metaphysics arrived at through mind-body experiences. Mysticism begins in experience, it ends in theology. That is New Age doctrine to the core. He says the first of these 5 untheorized observations is that new light, that's the New Age term, new light embodiment, by the way, that's Lucifer, means to be, quote, in connection and information. Remember what Marilyn Ferguson wrote? With other Christians, deeper feeling and higher relating go together. The church is fundamentally one being, one person, one communion, whose cells, DNA, are connected to one another within the information network called the Christ consciousness. That's the New Age term for this whole Shambhala thing that everybody's going to awake to one of these days. He says, energy fire takes us into ourselves only that we might reach outside of ourselves. Metanoia is a decentering experience of connectedness and community. It is not an exercise in reciting what Jesus has done for me lately. Energy fire ecstasy, more a buzz than a binge, takes us out of ourselves literally. That's the meaning of the word ecstatic. Note, this ecstasy Sweet speaks of refers to the New Age ecstasy that occurs in an altered state of consciousness. Sweet goes on to say, a surprisingly central feature of all the world's religions is the language of light in communicating the divine and symbolizing the union of the human with the divine. Muhammad's light-filled cave, Moses' burning bush, Paul's blinding light, Fox's inner light, Krishna's Lord of Light, Baum's light-filled cobbler shop, Plotinus fire experiences, Bodhisattvas with the flow of Kundalini's fire erupting from their fontanelles, and so on. He mentioned the symbolizing of the union with the divine, of the human with the divine. That is what Masonry is about, the New Age movement is about. The sons of God mingling with the daughters of men. They, the Iron Kingdom, shall mingle themselves with the seed of men. That's what the union of the human and the divine is. The flow of Kundalini's fire. Kundalini teaches that you have a God inside of you. He's there. You just don't know it. And you need to do like 7 things to the 7 chakras of Kundalini. You need to bring this God out so you can live in a wonderful state of ecstasy and Shambhala and New Age peace. So Rick Warren started out hooking up with guys like Leonard Sweet and others, New Agers to the core. People that were hearing from, not the Bible, but people that were hearing from devils, from familiar spirits. See, when you go into this trance and you meditate, that's who you're listening to. You're listening to familiar spirits, devils. That's who you're listening to. I don't know how many people sent me an email on this. Pastor Mike, you have got to take a look at this. And I did. And we're going to deal with it. Rick Warren is a false prophet. Those who have followed the purpose-driven life, the purpose-driven church, the 40 days of purpose, and all the vomit and the garbage that flow out of Saddleback Community Church and others around the country and around the world need to stop following this guy. He's got a curse on him. There's something wrong with him. Just recently, he comes out with a new plan. He says in his website, I can't tell you how excited I am about the Decade of Destiny and what's coming up at Saddleback. Next weekend, we're launching the Daniel Plan. Comes out of the book of Daniel, okay? The Daniel Plan, a 52-week plan to help you become physically healthier. Some of the details are below, but watch the videos to find out more. So I looked at, one of the videos, and here to help him with his Daniel Plan to help you feel better are 3 doctors. Now remember, Marilyn Ferguson said that we have New Agers that are doctors. Is that these doctors here? We'll find out. Dr. Amen, Dr. Hyman, and you've probably heard of Dr. Oz, okay? I looked at this, and he calls it God's prescription for your health. Now, he's not just saying, now this is just like generic principles, that'll help you be fit, so that you won't sweat a lot and breathe heavy when you walk upstairs. He actually says that this is God's prescription for it. So he's saying that if you worship God, do it this way. That's what he's saying. Okay? And in this video, it says get healthy, and there's a picture of an apple there. Now you might say, well, an apple a day keeps the doctor away. Maybe, but I do know that the New Age movement uses the apple as a symbol quite a bit. Now, the Bible doesn't say that it was an apple that Eve ate from, but the New Agers do. They say that it was an apple. They say that it was the apple of illumination. So we have a company. By the way, Steve Jobs is a New Ager, always has been. So he forms a company called Apple Computers. And his logo is an apple with a bite out of it. And he says, think different, because you need to be regenerated. Okay? The word Avalon, you know what that means? Avalon itself was the bridge to the underworld. Okay? The underworld is where all the gods were, and if you wanted to connect with them, you had to go to Avalon. Okay? Avalon is the old word for apple. The Christian group called Avalon, I never got that. Why did they name themselves after the bridge to hell? Anyway, they've moved in. Okay? I often wondered a lot, why does the New Age movement use an apple for their symbol? And then it came to me. There's a pentagram on the inside of it. Lucifer's 5-point plan. I will ascend to heaven. I will exalt my throne above the stars of God. I will sit also upon the mount of the congregation in the sides of the north. I will ascend above the heights of the clouds. I will be like the Most High. That has his symbol in it. Now, if you want to look at the reverse of it, God created the apple. He put that 5 in there to show us grace. 5 is the number for grace. And Israel is the apple of God's eye. He's going to have grace on them one of these days. So he mentions a doctor by the name of Dr. Daniel G. Amen. Okay, sounds spiritual, doesn't it? Dr. Daniel G. Amen, medical doctor, New Ager. Magnificent mind with medical hypnosis. He talks a lot about the brain and behavior. Medical hypnosis is, I'm going to go into a trance, and when I get into a trance, I'm going to empty my mind, and I'm going to be healed from the inside out because I'm going to get in touch with the God on the inside of me. That's what medical hypnosis is all about. The brain and behavior, according to their website, discusses the value of spirituality, meditation, and prayer from a neurobiological perspective. So really, what Dr. Amen really is good for is teaching everybody how to meditate. How to empty their mind, go into a trance, go down, and remember, go get this video from us called The Mystery of Contemplative Prayer, and you'll understand it. But really all this Dr. Amen is good for is teaching everybody how to meditate, how to get in touch with these spirits, these false gods. Okay? Then we have Dr. Mark Hyman. Here was an article. I think it's been featured on several websites, but I think its source was Lighthouse Trails Research. They had a lot of good research there. Anyway, the article says Dr. Mark Hyman, one of the 3 doctors who designed the Daniel Challenge for Saddleback, is another strange advocate for mystical meditation. In his book, The Ultra Mind Solution, Hyman emphasizes meditation, saying that it doesn't matter what religion one has to benefit from it. So in other words, he can say, you know, you could be a dirt worshiper, but as long as you meditate, you'll get good stuff from it. Okay, all roads lead to the same God. Dr. Hyman suggests that mindful meditation is a powerful, well-researched tool developed by Buddhists. On the front cover of the Ultra Mind Solution sits an endorsement by Dr. Mehmet Oz, the 3rd doctor who will be training Saddleback on health. Now here is a book written by Dr. Daniel Amen called Create More Passion Tonight. Everywhere we go to look for the New Age movement in something, you will see sexuality involved. It is all over the church. So here, now remember, Rick Warren, these are the 3 guys that he chose to lead everybody. Okay? Daniel Hyman co-authored a book with a guy by the name of T.J. Bartell called Create More Passion Tonight. I went to T.J. Bartell's website. This guy's filthy. He is absolutely filthy. This website where Bartell talks about what's called tantric sex. Really, remember that Gnostic idea? And we learned this from the Da Vinci Code and from other things. Gnosticism says there's a spark of divinity inside you and it needs something to bring it out to full-blown godhood. Dan Brown taught in the Da Vinci Code that the ritual that brings the divine spark to full-blown godhood inside somebody was tantric sex. In other words, a spiritually based, ritualistic sexual encounter, the mating of the sons of God and the daughters of men. You're acting that out. In Wicca, it's called the Great Rite Ritual, the joining together of the blade and the chalice. That's what the airplane flying into the pentagram on 9/11 was all about. And so who is it? Amen? Amen writes a book with Bartell. Bartell is this fierce proponent